Jay, good to see you. Thanks for
Hey,
making a bit of time to come and have a chat. I know you commute a lot because we were just talking about it, and I appreciate you giving me a bit of time. I
yeah,
wanted to kick off by reflecting back to you something that we talked about last time we spoke. You said that what you were trying to do was to connect up all the unconnected people in Africa.
mhm,
Now, I mean, tell us, I mean, that's a bold statement. That's a big ambition because there's a lot of unconnected people in Africa, I would have thought. I mean, what is it? I mean, why does that matter to you? What's important about it? I mean, what are you trying to achieve there?
yeah. So when people hear that, they first think I'm a non-for-profit, and we're not. We're a
Mm.
for-profit technology company based in the US, and we only work in Africa. And we're not connecting people to the internet, we're connecting people to data. And Wi-Fi is really not the issue. It's traceability, visibility to people with
Right.
data. And if we look back at Africa, because people really don't understand how big it is,
Mm.
54 countries, 100 let's see 1.4 billion people, and then by 2030 they'll have 1.7 billion, and the average age is 20 years old. So by 2030 they will also have the largest workplace and marketplace. So when I look at Africa, it is a fast growing marketplace, workplace, and they're creating a ton of data, and it's just disconnected. So that is what we're trying to do, is take that data and actually allow people to be seen and recognized and included,
I mean,
and get them from surviving to thriving for
yeah,
once.
yeah. I mean,
What a concept.
absolutely. I mean, I love to see a bit of ambition, and I think you've certainly bitten off a decent chunk of a decent sized project to get your teeth into there. Let's go back to the beginning. I mean, what is it that set you on this path? Why do you want to do this? I mean, because I know it's very important to you. I mean,
Yeah, it is. Yeah, to me, it's like I've been watching the aid organizations and the World Bank and IMF for 60 plus years give money, trillions and trillions and trillions, but yet 600 million people in Africa do not have electricity. 300 million people do not have clean drinking water. So my mind is just like, what the heck are we doing? We're just, it's bad. It's not a funding problem, it's a systems problem.
Mm.
So what we're doing is helping Africa become sovereign nations, each one of those countries, and increasing their middle income by giving them data transparency across the whole government. You think about every single, even in UK, because I worked in the UK, every ministry, department, agency all has a data silo. None of them talk to each other.
Yeah,
What if they
yeah,
could? So
yeah.
that is what we're doing, and the legacy I want to leave behind is help these African countries become sovereign nations, get off China, get off debt, and actually thrive for
Yeah.
once. I think it's time.
Yeah. And let me ask you, why Africa in particular? I mean, I know it's got huge problems, but there are other parts of
Mhm.
the world with problems as well, aren't there? I mean, why Africa in particular?
Because they have the largest population that is unconnected.
Right.
Again, 1.5 billion people, 600 million don't even have electricity. Like, can you believe it's double the size of the US that don't have electricity? Like, that's crazy to me. And it's not because, again, not funding, it's system problems. So if you look at an African government's budget, about 25% of their operating budget goes to debt service. And in some cases, there's extremes, like in Mozambique, it's up to 90%. So
God,
that leaves
that's
very
crazy.
little money for infrastructure. So what if we can grow that middle income, because a very, very small there's very small middle class, very small upper class, and then a giant lower class. So we've got to shift that economically, and we can help. So that's what we're trying to, what we've been doing for the past 11 years. And why Africa? Look, they don't have legacy ICT systems. They don't have legacy technology. So they're more willing to, who's going to give us data and say, go for it. You want to put in data visualization, Google Street Maps, AI, go for it. Because they don't have those legacy systems that we all have in the US, the UK.
Yeah. So what you're saying, so let me just, so I've understood this correctly. What you're saying is you make the governments more effective so that they can grow their economies. That's essentially what you're saying, isn't it? Which is better for everybody. Yeah.
That is it. Yep. Yep, exactly. And that gets everyone, the aid goes away, all that stuff goes away, and they become self-sufficient.
Yeah. And let me ask you, I mean, that's a huge ambition. How would you define success? I mean, how will you know if you like when you've made it, when you've done it? I mean, because that's
Mhm.
an extraordinarily complex issue
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
working
So
with?
we're doing it. We're in sub-Saharan Africa, about 30 countries right in the middle, and we're actually seeing the results. We're seeing the revenue increase as it should. We look at like one of the biggest things we saw for is property related taxation. We all hate paying taxes. You
Yeah.
British people gave us that lovely structure. We don't thank you for it, but we deal with it. So anyway, if you look at just property related taxation, say it's property tax that you pay the local government or rental income you pay the federal government across Africa, 2% compliant. Two. So think about if we just expand that to 50% compliance.
Yeah.
That is huge money. It's billions of dollars. The laws are on the books. Everyone knows they need to pay it. There's no transparency. No one knows how to enforce it. So we put that all together for them. That's one of our biggest things is to help them bring traceability to property. And look, Africans invest in three things. They invest in property, they invest in livestock and agriculture. They don't put money in the bank. They don't take out mortgages. Mortgage rates are 30%. They put their money to work. So when the majority are doing property, they should be paying taxes. And it's their laws. It's not our laws. We just provide tax compliance.
Mm, mm. I mean, and let me just ask you, it's an extraordinary idea. Where did the idea come from?
Actually, President Museveni of Uganda, that's who it came from. So we were doing big data aggregation, and in UK we did veterans traceability for the map of need. The Minister of Defense came to us and said, "Hey, we don't know how many veterans we have. We know we have about 2,000 charities. We don't know what's working or what's not. So can you help us put that ecosystem together?" So that's where we started. And then we were down in Africa doing livestock traceability for Kenya, and they said, "Hey, President Museveni would has a problem he wants to talk about." And he goes, "Can you guys do property taxation?" We're like, "Oh, we're not tax people, but it's data. So sure." So actually, he's the one that came up with the idea.
Wow, that's extraordinary. That is an extraordinary story. Well, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and what most entrepreneurs say to me is that building a business like this is a bit like riding a roller coaster. You know, there are good days, there are bad days,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. What is it about this that kind of, if you like, gets you to leap out of bed in the morning and kind of carry on riding that roller coaster? I mean, what is
Yeah.
it that motivates you personally?
Seeing the results, and it's not simple. Look, this is
Yeah,
complicated,
yeah, yeah.
and it's not, and not building a company. And I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm a turnaround CEO, so this is a little bit of a turnaround. But working across multiple countries, each have a different culture, a system, a way of operating. You got to build trust. So what gets me out of bed is it's like an adventure, and we're both adventure people, right? We climb mountains and see
Yeah,
the world.
yeah.
To me, it's an adventure. I wake up to see what happened last night because they're 10 to 11 hours ahead of me sometimes. And it's just an adventure like, oh my gosh, we got this problem over here. We got this problem. Oops, we got an opportunity here. Great. What are we going to do? And it's just every day is a new day. It's never Groundhog Day for us.
Mm.
So what gets me out of bed, it's to see the progress we're making. My team is unbelievable, amazing. And they're so excited. And they're Africans. We only hire Africans
Wow.
and they're excited to see their own country thrive. They're excited to make an impact. And that is, oh man, it's so rewarding.
Yeah. And why is it that you only employ Africans? Can I ask? I mean, tell me what
Yeah.
the logic
So
of
each,
that.
because we want to build capacity, right? So in each country, I want to, lift while climbing. I want those folks to be able to know the best. We just put everybody through AI training for 6 weeks. Their eyes are wide open. They're like, oh my gosh. And I said, the mandate is reduce your workflow by 50%. Get rid of those mundane things, set up AI agents, and they are on fire. And it's so cool to see them
Yeah, yeah,
thrive.
yeah,
And to me, that's the biggest thing we can do is we uplift the community that we're in.
yeah,
We should
yeah.
do that.
And of course, that's one of the great things that technology does, doesn't it? I mean, technology is just an enabler, isn't it? Really, it's
It
enabling you.
100%,
You know.
100%. And opening their eyes to things they didn't know. We have some of the best software engineers in Uganda, unbelievable software engineers. Like I will not hire any more software engineers in the US. You can put that, take that to the bank. Just unbelievable, hardworking. We pay them great. They'll unbelievable people.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk a bit about building businesses because that's one of the things
Hmm.
that really interests me. I mean, as
Yep.
you've been sort of booked, well, in your case, I mean, you talked about it as a bit of a turnaround. I mean, have there
Yep.
been any particular surprises along the way that have surprised you? I mean, that have kind of thought, oh, I didn't think that was going to play out that way.
Well, it's not about building a technology company. It's about building trust. So Africa is all about trust. And if they don't trust you, you're not going
Yeah.
anywhere. You have to show up. You have to do what you say. You have to give results. And we will always be able to move faster than them. So you have to be patient. And every single country has a different culture,
Mm.
has a different system, a different way of doing business. So what happens in Uganda does not happen in Gambia or Zambia. Everything's different. So then you have to localize it,
I
right?
mean, I was about to ask about that because,
Hmm.
if you've got 30 countries, potentially 30
Yep.
different ways of doing things, I mean,
Uh-huh.
that in and of itself is a pretty significant challenge. I mean, how do you approach that? How do you deal with that challenge?
Yeah. So I'm constantly making decisions with imperfect information.
Mm.
That's constantly. And
Yeah,
I balance speed and risk every day. And if you move too slow, you're going to
yeah.
lose momentum. If you move too fast, you lose trust. And then our team is amazing. So the technology never changes. It's just how the culture, how you're going to obtain the data,
Mm.
what kind of form the data is in. Um, you get a feel for it real quick. But I always start at the president because if I don't have the tone at the top, if I don't have someone at the top saying this is what we're going to do, because all that data resides under all his ministers or her ministries, we're going to fail. And so we learn that the hard way.
And
Before
how
people,
have those, I mean, just give us some examples of how those countries are different. I mean, I totally
mm,
get your logic. You want buy-in at the top. You want the minister to
yep,
say, I'm on board. I get that.
yeah,
But they're all different, aren't they? I mean,
they are, but I'll tell you, the presidents aren't. Right. So there's some I can work with, there's some I can't. And I'm
yeah.
real frank with them up front. Like, look, we're not going to take a dime. We're not going to give you a dime. We're here to implement technology. If you win, we all win because we'll take a percentage of the win. It's all upside for everybody. If we lose together. So there's some countries I cannot work in because that's not their culture.
Mm.
There's some countries that don't like women. There's some countries that don't like white people. So
Yeah.
it everything you got to figure out the cadence very quickly, and I'd rather have a fast no than a slow drawn out,
Yeah. Yeah.
no. So I try to push it quickly up front to say, yeah, this isn't for me. And it's okay to say no. To me, that's the most powerful word everyone needs to know.
Yeah.
That's what defines you, is what you walk away from.
Yeah.
Because you can say
Absolutely.
yes is easy, but no is hard.
I
I
mean,
had an old chairman pound that into my head.
yeah. And they say, don't they, strategy is mainly about what you don't do.
Yeah,
Because there's billions of things you could do. It's
right.
choosing what you do is the hard bit. Let
Exactly.
me ask you about that journey. Have there been any moments, any kind of critical moments when you've reached a fork in the road and had to make
Mm.
a decision about which way to jump? Have you had any moments like that that have,
Yeah, we had one country, I'm not going to name it, but they did everything they could underneath the president to block the deal. Everything, because they
right.
were all profiting from it, right? Because there's a corruption system within the government, there's a corruption system with the
Yeah.
landlord, there's corruption. Everything. I'm talking poisoned me, tried to get me out of the country, did all that, and all I did was like, well, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to feel good for a couple days, but I wouldn't leave. And it was 4 long years
Wow.
of trying to get a contract done. We got it done. And I actually wrote up a summary because one day I'll write a book about this. I wrote up a summary of what it took to get this deal done. And people told us to walk away 100 times. And I was just like, no, no, I'm here with the president. President wants this to happen. We're going to make this happen. And he told me it was going to be rough and it'd be bumpy and he would help out in every which way, which he did. So yeah, that happens. And then you go to another country and within a month you're done. So 4 years to a month, you just never know until you get in there. And you got to look at the motivation too. If they're trying to get money for themselves, we're not interested. And transparency works both ways, not just for the government, also should be for the taxpayer and for whoever is the end user.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned about the corruption. I mean, I was going to ask about the kind of
Hmm.
ethical issues
Hmm.
around that. I mean, have you had to? Um, or right, let me put it that way. How do you see the kind of big ethical challenges around building the kind of business that you want to build?
Yeah, so I mean, we're Americans. There's zero corruption in our mind. We won't even deal with it. When there are countries that literally say, "What's in it for me?"
Mm,
And I'm like, "Your job," and then we'll walk away. We just won't go there. It You just can't. So look, corruption is everywhere throughout the world.
mm.
I've seen it, even here in the States, even there in the
Yeah,
UK.
likewise, likewise.
It's everywhere, right? So what you do is you can say no to it and show them a different way, and or walk away. So we walk away.
Yeah. And how have your personal values shaped the way that you've built the business? Because I know you've got quite strong views on some issues. I mean,
I do.
how have your values influenced the way that you've built the company?
So I grew up in Texas in the oil and gas industry as a woman in the 80s. So I'm very direct. So I've
And
had to
tough, I suspect.
direct. I wouldn't say tough. It's like I'm very firm, and but I'm also I know how to gauge that, right? So I can't just be a bull in a china shop, but I can be very firm and stay true to my values, which is let's do the right thing. Because I was an accountant back in the day, right? So debits equal credits, black, white, no gray area. It was just
Mm,
very much that's my mindset. So I still think that way. Africa, you got to be a little bit more fluid, a little less rigid. So it shaped me a little bit more to be more patient because I'm a ready, aim, fire kind of girl,
mm,
and you're more like ready, aim. Well, let's talk about it. Let's have another meeting. And they like to do everything in person, so that you can imagine how many trips I've literally went over to one country for a 1 hour meeting in a day and came back because they insisted that I was just there. And they're like, you must come to this meeting. I flew 30 hours round trip for 1 hour and came back. So those are the kind of things that require a lot of patience.
yeah, 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 yeah. That is extraordinary, actually. And let me just ask you, we talked about distractions. You've got to work out what you don't do. The
Mhm.
other big challenge, I think, in the well, it's not just the current environment, it's been around for a while, but uncertainty. I mean, certainly at the moment, geopolitically, there is an awful lot of uncertainty around at the moment. I mean, how do you deal with that kind of uncertainty, not knowing, if you like, which way the cat's going to jump? I mean, what's your take on managing that?
Yeah. So one of the things we really look at is elections over in each country in Africa,
Right.
right? So we always make sure there's not election year and there's at least been a year after the election
Right.
because that way decisions will get done. So that's kind of the certainty. I will tell you, Africa kind of beats to its own drum, pun intended. Uh, the geopolitical is happening, but they still kind of just do their own thing. And
Mm.
I always tell people at the end of the world, I'm going to be in Africa because it's going to be just fine. It's going to be a-okay. um, I don't, they get the pressures of the pricing, but they're also getting the realization that they need to become more than a raw material exporter, which is what they are. They don't have finished goods. So I'm seeing more and more, especially in Western Africa, they're saying no more. No more gold is going out unless we refine it. No more uranium's going out unless we refine it. So they're stepping up and putting the infrastructure they need and putting the money where it needs to go, not taking it. There's still those ministers that have. I just did a post about just in Botswana. One of the ministers got busted for corruption, and Botswana is very very strict on this. And when they were on his farm, those big water tanks, they're called the JoJo water tanks. It was full with US dollars. It's like, what are
Really?
you doing? Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? Um, so it just there's still that old guard, but the new guard, what I'm seeing come in, is like we're tired. We're tired of having 70% unemployment. We're tired of living off $1 a day. We're tired of not having clean water. We're tired of environment being destroyed for you guys, for the one percenters out there. So I'm seeing that shift is actually becoming a little bit more certain.
Yeah.
So I don't see I see it as a stable place, believe it or not,
Yeah.
compared to everywhere else.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting way of looking. I mean, you're another mountaineer like me. I mean, and kind of
Yeah.
mountaineering kind of helps you build resilience, doesn't it? I mean, you
It
learn
does.
to
Yeah.
deal with, the other interesting thing about the level of uncertainty is that that's tough on your staff, isn't it? Who may or may not be mountaineers, probably aren't, I imagine. How do
Yeah.
you create an environment that enables them to be resilient, to deal with the kind of shocks and the pivots and the changing, sort of circumstances that in a country like a continent like Africa, where even though you're saying it's stable, relatively speaking, I mean,
Mhm.
what sits below that is a lot of change, isn't it? I mean, how do you build resilience in your people?
Yeah. So the good news is my team has been with me for the past couple companies. So we were
Oh,
just the turnaround team, and they love it. Like if it is a boring office day, there's no office. We're all virtual. You have to be because
right.
we're up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, whatever time conference calls are. So they love it, and they would never thrive in a typical normal business. They wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. It'd be so boring.
And do you
So
recruit do you recruit people specifically for that thing that they will thrive in this kind of environment rather than
absolutely. And so look, while we hire within Africa, we have to teach a lot of things, right? Because the US culture, we're very direct. Say what you mean what you say.
yeah,
Africa, a lot of countries are very submissive, chain of control. Look down, don't even look at you in the eyes, don't
yeah,
shake your hand.
yeah, yeah,
We've taught a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
that, just etiquette, how to dress, how to act, how to get things done. Here's how we report. And so we brought that the good side of American culture to Africa. And then they know how to work within their own countries. They know
Yeah.
this guy is friends
Okay.
with that guy, and I know that guy, and they've lived there their whole lives. In fact, we just took this is super cool. We just had 3 people in Uganda go to Gambia, first time on a plane, first time getting a passport, first time in first
Wow.
class, first time seeing an ocean, like super cool stuff to do a big project there. And we're putting in Google Street Maps for traceability, for visual, you can see your country. And if you look at Africa, 54 countries, Gambia, the only country that we've done has Google Street Maps that's up to date. There's 14 countries that have like a 2020 version, and then the rest have nothing. No traceability. We take that for granted. So we took 3 people in Uganda, took them over to Gambia to get trained. So now we have the East and West capability of putting in
Yeah.
Google Street Maps everywhere.
I mean, tremendous opportunities.
100%, 100%. But to see and we've documented, it'll be a TikTok campaign, so you can see it to see what their impressions were. Like the first time seeing an ocean, they're like, "Oh my gosh, big water!" Like you just things we take for granted. So that is an adventure they love, and then every day it's there's so many little intricacies of what we do and the data we bring in. Sometimes it's a clump of paper sitting on the floor that's wet. Sometimes the data is good and it can come through a interface, and sometimes we have to create the data. So
Yeah.
to us, it's a data journey, and every day is a new day.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's extraordinary. And let me ask you about the flip side. I mean, the flip side to resilience, if you like, is creating an environment where people can do their kind of best work, where people can thrive. So it's not
Mhm.
just that they can
Mhm.
bounce back when things are difficult,
Sure.
but how do you as the CEO kind of create an environment? Because all your people are virtual. How do you create an environment in which they thrive and are able to do their best work? I mean, how do you do that? Because that's a challenge if
Yeah,
you don't
it
come.
is a challenge, and we've had some people that didn't thrive very well, and
Sure.
you move them very quickly off the bus. Um, Training. We train a lot. Like I said, we just put everyone through a 6-week AI training class just on the general stuff. Now we're putting all our software engineers through good practices for AI. So it's constant training. We have, we're a tech company, so we have daily meetings, scrub, and then weekly meetings, reporting. We have a really good infrastructure. And we've done this before. So it's nothing new to us. It's kind of playbook, corporate management 101, good technology, good transparency, good systems, good reporting, and then the rest falls into place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those individuals, I mean, to come back to the kind of cultural piece, do different countries or different kind of cultures in those different countries respond in different ways? I mean, do you have particular places you think, oh,
Yes, yes, crazily different. Oh my gosh, night and day. When just East Africa to West Africa, night and day.
mm,
Um, Countries that are mainly Christian versus Muslim,
yeah,
completely different, right? They know, but what we see in the Muslim countries, they're all about their religion and prayer, and
yeah,
they take that seriously. And women during Ramadan are excused from work at 2 p.m. so they can go cook
yeah,
or breaking fast. So those are the kind of cultural things that we're up against. We when we did this AI training, we had a couple of people who were like, it's during breaking fast, I can't go. I'll go
yeah,
to the next one. So you have to be patient on that. That's
yeah,
something we don't see in the States. I don't know that you see it there as well. It's more like you got work to do, work it. We don't care about the personal side. Death is a big deal over there. It's a big celebration of life and a long process. So the different cultures, holidays, I've never seen so many damn holidays in my life. Those countries have every other week is a holiday. I'm like, what? Who died now? And what is this holiday? I'm like, you guys are going to run out of calendar days for your
yeah,
holidays
yeah,
every single week in at least uh, multiple countries. It's a holiday. I'm like, what now? Like, no, it's the Founders Day holiday. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's a joke because they also get the U.S. holidays. I'm like, why don't we get Africa holidays?
yeah, that would be good.
Right? I mean, we would never work, but they're even though they have holidays, they will work. But it was something we had to get used to. We're like, what do
Yeah.
you mean you have 40 holidays a year? What? We have our 11, I think, 10 or 11.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. And let me ask you about you and what and the journey that you've been on. I mean,
Mhm.
what would you say? What have been the influences on you as a leader? You know, what are the things that have shaped you and therefore shaped your approach to building this business? I mean,
So,
what's things?
yeah,
Where
I
does
know
your
that.
kind of leadership philosophy kind of come from?
Well, from family, right? I was the oldest
Right.
child, so I had to do everything right and perfect and, be quiet and carry on. Also, as an athlete, very competitive family. So we all were in sports our whole entire life. So, in a team, not an I sport, but a team sport. So that's where I learned the competitive edge. And then growing up, I grew up in the oil boom, and all I wanted to do was be an oil and gas, tycoon. So I went and was in the oil business. So you're very direct, you're very, it was great. So that's where it came from, where it started, the roots. And then once I moved to California, oil and gas is not a thing out here. I went into mergers and acquisitions for 25 years in healthcare, big, big, big deals. So M&A builds another set of bag of tricks, right? You learn to always have a problem and you become a problem solver. And when you lead deals and you got to make sure that they're successful, there's a lot of operational knowledge that you need. You need to lay off a lot of people. You need to restructure. This is where my turnaround skills came from.
And
So
what
I
about
know, yeah.
what about that transition from things like M&A to what you're doing now? I mean,
Mhm.
how did you? I mean, did you suddenly think, well, I've had enough of M&A, I'm going to go be a turnaround person? I mean, how did that sort of
Yeah.
thinking change?
Yeah, interesting. So after doing deals for 25 years, I actually had a company call and say, hey, you're in healthcare, we're in healthcare. We're also an AI company. This is early 2000, so 26 years ago. We have a bit of a mess. We've been around 14 years. You know how to sell a company. So can you help us get this company ready for sale? And I went in as CFO and became the CEO because the CEO was on his last leg and they wanted him gone, which I had to let him go, which wasn't fun. The board didn't man up, as I say. So I had to do that. And then it was a turnaround. Like there's a lot of people I had to let go. There's a lot of things we had to do. But I knew the end goal is to get the shareholder value. I knew how to sell
Hmm.
because I was a buyer. I knew what you needed.
Yeah.
So it was an easy transition for me. And then that's where I transitioned into technology because it was an AI company. So it was great. It was learning for me. So then I just kept doing AI. I mean, kept doing tech, another turnaround, and then this was I was retired, sort of, and Bank of America, who's always been my kind of acquisition line bank, called and said, "Hey, another tech company, can you look at it?" So it was not hard because I
Mm,
knew what the end goal is always, right? My goal as a shareholder, as a CEO and chairman, is to maximize shareholder value.
mm. And
So,
how do you feel about being, if you like, a non-techie managing a tech business? I mean, does that have an impact at all?
well, I am a techie now,
Ah,
26
okay.
years of
So
being a
you would
techie.
say you are a techie now, right?
I am. Yeah, yeah. So I know enough to be dangerous, but I can muddle through the details now because I'm a visual learner. I'm not a verbal, so I need to touch, do, feel.
Mm. And let me ask you, in terms of Ripplenami, I mean, what would you say have been the factors that have made the business successful? I mean, what is it that has really worked?
Well, the people first, the team.
Mm.
My gosh, they come up with the most when we're at a standstill, like, "Phew, what are we going to do?" We went into one country, they had no data. So we had to recreate data. Like, how do we do that? Like, and we got a year to do it. That ain't easy. So I will say the team is number one and foremost, the secret sauce
Mm. And what
for
about
us.
what sort of things have influenced you as a CEO in terms of how you keep your team on the front foot? Because if you're moving into different countries you've got to kind of keep a whole bunch of people moving forward. I mean, how
Mhm.
do you do that? Because that's a very significant leadership challenge, given that they're all remote.
They are. We have offices in countries in Africa. We do have offices there. It's just the US we don't. And we only have a couple people here in the US. Everybody else is in Africa. So what we do is we actually move people from one country to the next.
Right. Okay.
So that knowledge transfer goes, and then they get a whole new experience. So our guy over Gambia was from Uganda. He had never been on a plane. We said, "Dude, you're going to go run Gambia." So he did. And now he's like, "Where am I going next? Where am I going next?" He goes, "I prefer Zambia. I have a sister in Zambia." Like, this is a guy who never said a word. He goes, I'm like, maybe Malawi, maybe Tanzania. We don't know yet. So they kind of jockey for position.
Mm.
They want to know, like, where are we going? Like, what's like the Uganda team going to Gambia? They're like, where do we go next?
Mm.
So to me, we've opened up their eyes because you think about it, they've only been in that country their whole life.
Mm.
They're not big travelers.
Mm.
They don't have
And
money.
and it's great to see that kind of enthusiasm, isn't it?
100%. It's so rewarding. And
Mm.
to see them grow and they're like, we are never going back to where we were. So we will work as hard as we can. It's like, great.
And what is it that you've enjoyed most as being the CEO? I mean, what is it you enjoy about it?
Well, I love to travel, as you can imagine, and the adventure. But then in the weekends when I'm over there, I go out to the bush, as they say, and I meet the chiefs and the people. And to
Right.
me, that's the heartbeat, right? They got nothing and they're so damn happy.
Mm.
And it's a level sitting for me. So when I come back and it's like, do I need a new car? No, my car's fine. Like, they would give you the shirt off their back if you needed a shirt. Like, we had a flat tire in the middle of the bush, a bad flat tire in Mozambique. Like, we're lucky to be alive. And I was with a South African and I was with a Zambian. It's like a little comedy show, an American. So we're on the side of the road, and the South African was like, I know how to fix a tire. Off he goes. We had 18 wheelers stop. We had village people come out. It was just like, it was a thing. And the Zambia lady's like, you must let them help you. You must. And the South African's like, I got this. And I said, we must let them help us. And so they did. And then I wanted to give them money. And they were like, no, 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 no. And I stuck it in their pockets and said, no, thank you very much. Because it was, who would do that? Like in the States, you got a flat tire, no one's stopping.
Yeah, they wouldn't help you. They were the same here in London. They wouldn't help you in
Yeah.
London. Yeah.
Like, if we were in South Africa, we would have been robbed first,
Yeah.
then maybe helped. Like, every country is different, but in the bush, in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
Mozambique,
Yeah.
it was a team effort.
Yeah, yeah, and I can see why that motivates you as well. I mean, that
Mhm.
feeling, it's something about those communities that is extraordinarily, what's the word? Encouraging, really. There's something
Yeah,
inspiring about those kind of
it
communities,
is.
isn't there?
It is. I mean, we used to like for vacation go see these tribes all over the East and Asia and South America, and they'd never seen a white person before.
Yeah,
And then just having them touching our skin, watching the sunburn turn from red to white, that was a nightly event. And you're just like, okay, as long as you don't guys don't eat me, I know you're cannibals. And they're like, no, 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 we only eat our enemies. All right, oh, okay.
that's okay.
Just that's okay. I'm not an enemy. We were just long pigs, is what they called us. So, I was like, hmm.
Yeah,
So it is level setting to see them have nothing and be happy.
yeah, yeah.
And
No,
it
I've certainly experienced
you've done
that.
it. You've experienced it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It is the
Inspiring.
best feeling in the world.
Yeah. And let me ask you about the flip side to that. That there's lots of things that you clearly enjoy, and you come across as extraordinarily enthusiastic about it. What are the things that keep you awake at night? What are the things that worry you about the stuff?
No,
I mean,
nothing. I
you
really
sleep
don't
well
worry.
then, huh?
I sleep pretty good. I don't worry about much because I know we're doing the right thing. We got the right team in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's issues here and there, but it's not nothing earth shattering. So I don't really worry. In the beginning, I worried because trying to make it work, right? Trying to make money, trying to land a customer,
Mm.
trying to get the right team in place. Went through a lot of different people, but we're in a good cruising spot right now.
Yeah. And what about the other thing I'm always interested in is when things go wrong, I mean, when you make mistakes. I mean, because
Yeah.
the thing about being the CEO is that you've ultimately got to make sure everything happens, haven't you? I mean,
Mhm.
what would you say is the biggest mistake that you've made, and what did you learn from it?
Well, listening to the founders of this company, I think that was a big mistake.
Because just explain that.
They had an idea. They came across as very confident on what they could do, and I believed that at face value. I didn't, challenge it. I was brought into the company, so I was enthusiastic, and I didn't challenge it, even though my gut kept saying there's something not right, and wasted a lot of years, a couple of years on that.
Yeah,
So that was a big mistake. We have a very fast trigger. Like when we can tell if someone's not going to work out, they're gone.
yeah, yeah,
But I wasn't in that position. I was the one brought in. So that took a lot of pain and angst and a lot of wasted dollars.
yeah. Those kind of things are always really frustrating, aren't they?
Hmm. Yep. But
Yeah,
you learn, right? And now
yeah,
I do not like founders. I really am not I've replaced many. And there's a lane. Everybody's got a good swim lane, is what I say. So you're either a good founder that can start a company, but then you're not going to be the one that's going to grow that.
mm,
Or you're a good M&A consolidator, but you're not going to be the one that does organic growth. So everybody's got a swim lane. Mine is taking something from nothing, growing it, and getting it to the next level, and then moving to figuring out the strategy so it becomes a bigger, better part of something else.
mm. And what
Um,
would that be for Ripplenami? I mean, what would that? When will you get to that?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. We always look at do we want to build, buy, or partner,
Mm,
right? So we may do a couple acquisitions. We definitely partner with a lot of great companies, and eventually we'll be part of a bigger company, someone that can take this to like the next big level.
yeah, yeah.
But right now we're having fun and we're making progress, and there's a bunch of more steps strategically I want to get done before we get to that next
Yeah,
level.
yeah. And when we've spoken in the past, I mean, it comes across like you're really having fun. I mean, it sounds like you really
Mhm.
enjoy it. Although it also sounds like quite a tough job. But you appear certainly when we've
Yeah,
spoken, you
yeah.
appear to really enjoy it. Is that fair?
It's 100% fair. I love it. I love it. I mean, this and everybody that works at Ripplenami loves it. And our board is like, we don't really understand what you're doing, but keep doing it. We bet on the horse, you're the horse, go. Because I got a lot of American investors and they're like, we don't care about Africa. Billionaires, I don't care about Africa. I'm like, yeah, I know, but give me your money. Somebody has to. So that's been the bigger challenge in the very beginning was raising money for a company working in Africa.
Yeah.
And even talking to investors about Africa, it's just a complete shutdown immediately
And so, I mean, that's a very interesting point you've made there. I mean, how did you win them over?
because I have a track record.
Right.
So they bet on, as they said, the horse. I'm the horse. And they knew that I am very tenacious and won't give up until we get to the right value, the right strategic place. And then I got a track record.
Yeah.
So
It's
that
interesting
was
you talk about that tenacity. I mean, that's a mountaineering thing, isn't it? I mean, they've got a tendency not to give up, which is sometimes is a bit of a
right. And it was funny. That word resonates with me so much. Joanne King, who was you watched Charlie Wilson's War,
yeah,
where yeah, okay. So Julia Roberts played a socialite.
yeah.
Well, that person, her name is Joanne King, and so I met her. She's a
Wow.
very spitfire in Houston, and so I was like, "Wow, Joanne, you've done all this. You did this in Afghanistan, and da da da." I go, tell you were Miss Cotton Ball, like went cheerleader,
Yeah, yeah.
newscaster. She goes, I failed all the time. I was the only woman newscaster. It was my daughter and I were sitting there at dinner. I said, give me one word that we can like think when we think about that word, we'll think about you. And she goes, tenacity. She goes, you're
Wow.
going to fall. You're going to skin your knees. You're going to get up. You're going to feel that crying, but get up, keep on walking.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
very
And
inspiring.
I can't remember which president it was who said,
Uh,
perseverance is
was,
everything, or something
yeah,
along those lines. I can't
yeah,
remember who it was, but
probably
there's a lot of truth
Churchill,
in that. No, I don't think
right?
it was Churchill. It was one of your guys. It was one of the
Oh, one of
presidents.
my guy, probably Reagan,
Um,
Reagan or
I can't.
Kennedy.
Yeah, it was a really well made point though about perseverance and tenacity,
Yeah,
sticking
yeah,
at
you
it.
just keep
Yeah,
going.
there's a
You're
lot
gonna
to be taken
fail.
from
And I had an old boss saying, make decisions. 50% of the time, you're gonna be right.
it.
Make a decision.
Yeah,
Move forward. And then you know what? It's okay to make a bad decision. You're gonna learn.
yeah, yeah. And that's the upside, isn't it? And I think the
Mhm.
other thing that I like about working with entrepreneurs, people in business, is that they're pretty good at recognizing when they've screwed up, and they're good
Yep.
at figuring out how to fix it. Because if you don't, you go bust. I mean, I always find it very frustrating working with government departments who never admit they've ever done anything.
Oh, correct.
But on
Correct.
business people tend to be much more switched on
Yeah.
about that kind of stuff. Because if they don't, the problem don't go away. If you don't fix it, you've got an even bigger problem, haven't
Yeah, but then that's part of the problem is why I usually am put in. We have founders that don't recognize that. They
you?
don't recognize. They just the
I'm
ego is
blind.
so big, and you're like, dude, you're not helping out the bigger. But it's their ego that gets in the way. Um, that's that's frustrating, and that's when I say, you know, your swim lane. What are you good at? What are you not good at? And it's okay. Like I have so many blind spots, but my team fills those blind spots. And as a CEO, that's what I want. Like I am great at some things, I am terrible at others. And vice versa, they are too. So we know when we throw something over the wall, like you got this, you're like, I got it, or I'm uncomfortable, can you help me? So there's a trust. It all comes back to trust.
Yeah, yeah. And let me ask you about, I mean, I'm sure you've had good advice from people along the way. What advice would you offer for for a simple way of describing it, a rookie CEO kind of starting out on a kind of journey that you're on? I mean, what would your advice be?
Um, my advice would be for look, things make a decision, number one. Do the best, do what feels right in your gut. Always try to be the straight and narrow. Don't accept mediocrity. Just don't do it. And it's okay to say no. Like no is the biggest thing I always tell people because we used to say yes to everything. We're
Yeah,
exhausted. We weren't
yeah,
getting anywhere and kept saying yes, yes, yes. Now I'm like, nope, can't help you. But I know someone that can,
yeah,
and it's okay not to know the answer. I think as young, if I look at my 20-year-old self, I said yes to everything. I know the answer. I didn't know the answer. 30s, I was a little bit more comfortable saying, I don't know. Let me get back to you. 40s, I was like, I have no clue. Go ask somebody else. And the 50s and on, you give, you're more honest with yourself,
yeah,
and you're okay to be to show that vulnerability, which it's hard to show vulnerability, especially as a CEO. But I always try to be upfront and saying, look, this is where we are right now. This is where I think we should be going. Here's some problems, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, yeah. And what would you say is the thing that makes you most proud about the company? I mean, it sounds like you've achieved an
Yeah.
awful lot. What is it that makes
Yeah.
you
It's
proud about?
really the people. I am so excited and happy to see them grow
Yeah,
and thrive. And, we're little, we're not a giant company, but God, if every company could help their employees get to that next level.
Yeah.
And I always sit down with everybody and say, where do you want to be in 5 years? What is the skill set we need to help you get there? And someone did that to me a long time ago. And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, that never happens because everybody's heads down, focused on themselves, and they're like thinking, like, how do I help this person get to the next level? And sometimes it's super simple.
Mm.
Sometimes it's very complex. But that I just think that simple question of where do you want to be in 5 years? How do I help you get there? Whether it's with the company or not. And like we had a house in Kampala in Uganda, and I had a maid. We had a maid there, and I sat down with her. She couldn't speak English very well, and I said, where do you want to be in 5 years?" She goes, "I want to be a shopkeeper, and I want to learn English." So we put her through English school, put her through business, and she's a shopkeeper now.
Wow.
Well,
That must feel
it
great.
was
That must feel
okay that she didn't need to work with us. I mean, we were going to shut down our house anyway after 2 years, so we knew we didn't have a long-term gig for her. But that's what she wanted to do. Right, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah, that must be. And let me ask you that question. I mean, that's a really good question, really. Where do you want to be in 5 years?
5 years.
Because I'm interested in the
Uh,
next bit of the journey, you see. But
yeah,
where do you want to
yeah,
be in the next 5 years?
yeah. Well, I'd love to be retired, for
I don't
real.
believe
Then
that.
no, but listen, I got things to do. I'll write another book.
Right.
I wrote one last year. It was super fun. Did a TED Talk,
What was it
and
called?
then
Just tell
travel.
us the name of the book. Tell us the name of the book.
Carbon credits are crap. And
What?
it was because I read an article in 2023 that said the flagship forest project in Zimbabwe has not yielded the 30 million carbon credits that they sold for 12 years. The Swiss company made 100 million, but the good news was that Zimbabwe community received 30% or $30 million of benefits. And I'm like, I got to go see this. So off I went off to Africa,
And what was it
to,
like?
to Zimbabwe. maybe, maybe $30,000, maybe had touched that communities.
Wow.
And I sat down with the chief and I gave him the article and I said, "Sir, in the last 12 years, what have you gotten?" He goes, "I got a bag of seed, a bag of soil, and that shitty garden over there, some garden with a sign that said this is from the carbon credit project." And I said, "Sir, you were supposed to get $30 million in benefits." He goes, "US dollars?" I'm like, "Yes, actually euros, but yeah." And he's like, "This place would look like New York City. But instead, we have no fuel, we have no internet, we have no jobs, we have no food, we have no water, we can't, healthcare stuff, everything's bad. No roads. You've been on the roads." And I'm like, I am so sorry. And so my journey led me on to this discovery about this voluntary carbon credit market, which is full of crap. And everyone is okay with that. And the climate people knew about it. And I went to them and they're like, "Yeah, what are you going to do?" I'm like, "Fix it." So we are starting another company to actually fix that.
Wow. Well, you
So
should
I
come
did
back.
it.
You should come and talk about that at some point. I mean, that's a really interesting area,
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
really
It's a two
awful to hear
trillion,
about those kind of problems.
$2 trillion a year. Come on,
Yeah.
this is an economy. So we're actually helping Africa enter this climate economy. It's
Wow.
not going away because the EU is going to mandate it, but it's a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
60, 30 years it's been going on. That's not okay
Yeah.
with me.
No, I
So
agree.
anyway,
That's awful, isn't it? Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Which could
Yeah.
make people, you want behavior to change, but you got to pay for it. Anyway, that's a whole nother. So I would like to write a book in 5 years, another book, see where Ripplenami goes, retire. And then my goal in life is to visit every country in the world. And I'm only at like 80 something. So I
Wow.
got some traveling to do.
Wow. Well, that sounds lots of things to keep you busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Come back and talk about the other company. I mean, that sounds really interesting. Actually, I'd
Yeah,
like
that's
to hear a
fun.
bit more
It's
about that.
founded by women, African women.
Right,
So
well,
that's pretty
definitely.
cool.
Let's have. We should definitely have another conversation about that because I
Okay.
think that's a really interesting area. But for the purposes of this interview, I mean, thank you
Sure.
for making time to come and have a chat. Thank you for sharing the story. Absolutely fascinating. And good luck with visiting all the other countries that there are. I mean, I don't know how many countries
Yeah.
there are, but there's a lot more
Yeah.
than
There's
80. So,
54. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, well,
Oh,
good luck
yeah.
visiting them all.
Yeah. We got some more to do. Yep. Exactly. Thank you for having me.
Cheers, Jay. See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.